Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Magic. What if a simple post actually holds a much deeper meaning than what appears on the surface? Jungkook has once again shared Jikook fan art, and as usual, the fandom immediately reacted. But this time, the focus is no longer just on the visual quality of the artwork, but on the decision behind posting it. Is this simply a form of appreciation for a fan's work? Or is it part of a pattern that has been there all along, yet often goes unnoticed? And even more interesting, what if it's not just the post that is speaking? What if small moments, seemingly natural interactions, and even absences in certain situations actually carry deeper meaning? Today, we're going to take a closer look not only at what is shown, but also at what isn't. Jungkook once again shared Jikook fan art. As usual, this seemingly simple act opens up a wide space for interpretation. Visually, the artwork is hard to ignore. Its details are refined, the emotions feel strong, and there's a distinctive concert-style fan art touch that makes it feel both alive and personal. But if we look beyond that, the most interesting aspect isn't just the quality of the image, but Jungkook's decision to share it publicly. This decision, whether intentional or not, reinforces a pattern that has long been visible. Jungkook doesn't run his social media based on fandom pressure. He shares what he likes, without appearing to adjust himself to meet certain expectations or to balance out his posts to calm different sides. There is a consistency in the way he acts, and it's precisely this consistency that keeps drawing attention to everything he does. Looking back, this isn't the first time Jungkook has shared Jikook fan art. The reactions before were quite intense. Some fans questioned it, complained, and even tried to influence his choices by repeatedly tagging him, as if he had an obligation to fulfill those demands. Situations like this created a very real sense of pressure within the fandom. Yet Jungkook's response, both then and now, remains the same. No response. He didn't provide clarification, didn't try to counterbalance it with other posts, and showed no signs of being affected by the pressure. This may seem simple, but it actually sends a strong message that what he shares is his own choice, not the result of negotiating with public expectations. At this point, one dynamic within fandom becomes very clear: the urge to compare and equalize. When one interaction appears, some people feel there must be a response in another form to make things seem fair and balanced. But this perspective overlooks something fundamental: that Jungkook is an individual with personal preferences, not part of a system that must maintain balance between narratives. If one day he shares a different type of fan art, it should be understood as a personal choice, not a reaction to pressure. And if he continues to share content related to Jikook, the most logical explanation is simply that he likes it. There's no need to always search for hidden meanings or connect it to strategies that may not even exist. This also aligns with what we see in the behind-the-scenes clip of the Hooligan MV. In that moment, we can observe natural interactions between the members, especially Jimin, Jungkook, and Jin during the photo shoot session. One small detail that stands out is Jungkook lightly jumping around to keep himself warm in the freezing filming conditions. It's a simple gesture, but it feels honest and spontaneous, revealing his genuine side behind his professionalism as an idol. Yet beneath that light moment, there's something deeper. When he's near Jimin, Jungkook becomes more readable. The way he looks, reacts, and carries himself seems to reflect a natural emotional closeness, something that doesn't feel staged. On the other hand, Jimin continues to show his perfectionist nature. Even in the cold, he doesn't lower his standards. He stays focused, keeps directing, and isn't afraid to say one more time to achieve the best result. This reflects both his dedication and his seriousness toward every detail. Interestingly, despite these demands, Jimin still pays attention to Jungkook, helping him with choreography and making sure everything runs smoothly. There's a clear balance between professionalism and care, creating a warm interaction in the middle of a cold environment. In the end, this clip is more than just behind-the-scenes footage. It's a glimpse into their dynamic, teamwork, and personalities. From small expressions to spontaneous gestures, everything comes together as a vivid piece of a larger story. Meanwhile, recent updates show several BTS members, such as J-Hope, RM, Jin, and V, attending a celebratory dinner. The atmosphere appears elegant, calm, and special, like a rare pause amid their busy schedules. From the circulating photos, the setting feels warm and intimate. But attention doesn't stop at what is visible. It also shifts to what isn't. In that moment, Jimin and Jungkook were not present. Their absence immediately raised questions, especially because the pattern is starting to feel familiar. It's true that Suga was also absent, but in his case, it's easier to understand since he is known to have his own schedule. His absence didn't spark much speculation. Jimin and Jungkook, however, are different. This isn't the first time. In fact, the pattern has repeated itself, including during their time in New York, when other members gathered while the two of them were absent from the same moments. So the same questions arise again. Where are they? Why didn't they join? What did they choose to do instead? Interestingly, this isn't just speculation. Both of them have mentioned that they enjoy spending time together and feel comfortable in more private settings. This becomes a key to understanding situations like this. When two people consistently show the same preference, their absence no longer feels random. Instead of unable to attend, it begins to look more like choosing to do something else. Logically, this makes sense. With packed schedules and constant public attention, private time becomes incredibly valuable. The chance to step away from group dynamics and enjoy each other's company in a quieter setting isn't something that comes easily. What's also interesting is how the fandom responds. Some see it as normal, but on the other hand, those who are usually quick to analyze details seem to go silent, and that silence feels noticeable. In other situations, small details are often magnified and discussed at length. But when this pattern of absence appears repeatedly, that same response is missing, as if it's easier to ignore than to address. Still, many fans notice it not to force a narrative, but because the repetition is too consistent to be dismissed as coincidence. There's a subtle thread connecting one moment to another. At the same time, the way Jimin and Jungkook live their lives also plays a role. They don't feel the need to explain every decision or share every moment. There's no obligation to clarify personal choices. And because of that, whatever is visible, no matter how small, becomes more meaningful. From a broader perspective, this situation feels both simple and beautiful. Regardless of interpretation, what's clear is a consistent sense of comfort. A relationship built on repeatedly choosing each other amid countless options. While other members enjoyed the dinner, Jimin and Jungkook may have been somewhere else, spending time in their own way. And that doesn't indicate distance within the group. It simply shows that their dynamic exists in more than one form. In the end, absences like this often speak louder than presence itself. Because when two people repeatedly don't appear in the same moments, supported by a consistent pattern, it becomes difficult to see it as mere coincidence. With Jimin and Jungkook, absence isn't just about not being there. It becomes a quiet space that holds its own story, a story not always spoken, but still felt. Because in the end, not all stories are told through words. Sometimes it's the simplest things, a post, a small gesture, or even an absence, that speak the most honestly. Jungkook with his choices, Jimin with his consistency, and the dynamic between them all form a pattern that doesn't always need to be explained, but can still be felt. And perhaps that's where the beauty lies, when something isn't forced to be understood, yet still manages to be meaningful. So what do you think? Is all of this just coincidence? Or is there a pattern that has been clearly visible all along? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Jikook Magic for more in-depth discussions. See you in the next video.